We have been at sea for more than 2 months now. I have tried to explain to the others that running away is totally pointless. But they won't believe me. Our observatory's calculations were wrong somehow. All of a sudden, 1/2 of our planet was being deep frozen. The impact on our planet was so powerful that it stopped rotating, and we were so sure that we weren't going to be hit. On the other half of the planet, the heat was getting unbearable. The sun never moved. Then I had an idea. I was going to construct a huge impulse machine. According to my calculations, its repulsion would have been so great, given enough voltage, that our planet would have started rotating again. But we didn't make it.
In order for us to be able to see anything at all, light has to reach our eyes. If we keep our eyes closed, or if we are in a completely dark room, we do not see anything. In other words, our eyes are light receivers. Light spreads rectilinearly, in a straight line. Light beams can be best observed when the air is full of small drops of water or dust particles, because they reflect the light into our eyes. If the light beam falls onto a light impermeable object, it is blocked. Behind the object, it remains dark. The body casts a shadow. The size of the shadow depends on the distance between the object and the light source. The moon is always illuminated by the sun. the Moon circles the Earth, and one full circulation takes 28 days. Its position determines how much of its illuminated side is visible to us on Earth. When it is a new moon, the Moon is between the Sun and the Earth, and so we cannot see its illuminated side at all. When the Moon is waxing, we see more and more of its illuminated side until it is completely visible at full moon. When the Moon is waning, the illuminated side is slowly disappearing to the point where we can only see a thin crescent which is open to the right. Since the Moon's orbital path is oblique to the Earth's orbit, the Moon's orbit runs through the Earth's shadow only about 1.5 times a year. At this point, we cannot see the Moon because it is no longer illuminated by the Sun. A lunar eclipse. About 2.3 times a year, the Moon will be in such a position between the Earth and the Sun to block the view of the Sun. If you happen to be at the centre of the Moon's umbra, which has a maximum diameter of 260 kilometres on Earth, you will experience a total solar eclipse. This only happens every 200 years or so at any given point on Earth. The different surfaces of objects reflect light in different ways. The more light an object reflects, the brighter it seems to us. If someone approaches a mirror, it looks as if her own reflection is approaching her. A person's actual distance from a mirror is always the same as the reflection's apparent distance from the mirror. If light enters a different material, it changes its direction. It is refracted. Contrary to reflection, the angle of incidence alpha and the refraction angle beta are not identical. The refraction angle depends on the material the light travels through. If light travels through air and then enters water or glass, that is, if it travels from an optically thinner to an optically denser material, the refraction angle is smaller than the angle of incidence. The light ray is refracted towards the normal line. If light travels through water or glass and then enters air, the refraction angle is larger than the angle of incidence. The light ray is refracted away from the axis. If light exits an optically denser material, for example water, and enters an optically thinner material, for example air, the light will no longer be refracted, but entirely reflected from a certain angle onwards. This phenomenon is called total internal reflection. This angle is called the critical angle. Glass refracts the various chromatic components of white light in different ways. Violet is refracted the most, red the least. These different refractions of light are called dispersion. Forces are invisible, but you can tell them by their effects. There are two basic laws which allow you to make out whether a force is at work. 1. If something like the string of a guitar or the diaphragm of a loudspeaker swings back and forth very quickly, it produces a sound we can hear. The oscillations are transported to our ears in the form of waves. Electrical current can only flow in a closed electrical circuit. The minimum components of an electrical circuit are power source, leads, and an electrical appliance, sometimes called the load. The power source always has two connections, the positive and the negative. All solid bodies, as well in order for us to be able to
Hopefully, you will still receive my message in time. I was unable to get the machine going. We had already stored a lot of energy. But in the end, we were just short of a few volts for the ignition mechanism of the machine. Now you are our last hope. You have to generate the necessary voltage and complete my work. You will find 3 generators, which will allow you to produce electricity. But don't forget, the machine will only work with the right values. You will find my plan on which I have written down the exact figures. If you set all the transformers correctly, the ignition will work. If you somehow get stuck, I have stored a large part of my knowledge on your laptop. Use it often. And now, good luck.